Here's a story about Rabbi Kalmanson, who has a Chabad house in Cincinnati. This story must have happened 40 years ago, 50 years ago. The story is that one day this Rabbi Kalmanson, he had a knock on his door late at night, and there's a couple standing there. And the man, a blind man, accompanied by a woman who becomes revealed that that's his wife. And they knock on the door. And Rabbi Kalmanson says, it's like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. He's in his pajamas. Can I help you? A person knocks on the door. Must want something important. So he lets them in. They say, listen, Rabbi, we're sorry at the time. The time is really late. We know it's very late, but we're going crazy. We have to have some help, and we think only you can help. I said, okay, whatever you say. So listen, our daughter, she's been acting a little bit strange. We couldn't exactly understand why. And tonight we found under her pillow a New Testament. A New Testament. We're not religious Jews, but to this degree, we never thought it would come. Our daughter, we love our daughter very much, and we brought her up to be, a proud Jew and a good Jew. And she's the New Testament. That's terrible. What are we going to do? So Rabbi Kalmanson said, well, listen, I don't know what to tell you. First of all, it's late at night, and I don't know what to tell you. Tell me, he said, would she be willing to come here for a Shabbat? She can leave whenever she wants to. Would she be willing to come? He said, Rabbi, you should know that, whenever we talk to her about the subject, she's just totally fanatic about it. She won't hear any opinions. She won't hear anything. She knows what the truth is, and everyone else is going to burn in hell. And she must save everyone and tell everyone we can't do anything to help her. So the rabbi said, listen, tell her that she can come over here, invite her for Shabbat, and then I want to hear what she has to say. So they said, okay, Rabbi, but I don't know if you don't know what you're getting into. She even ran away from home, and we promised, she could come back home, and that we wouldn't talk to her about the subject anymore, and that she would stop. And they said, okay. But the main reason we're coming over here is we found that a letter or something that she wrote a friend that she's leaving. She's going to actually go to this place and be baptized or whatever it is, and she's actually going to do it. She's going to change her religion. And we've got to put a stop to it. So the rabbi said, well, tell her to come, and she thinks she'll be willing to do. She said, yeah, she'll be. She's got nothing to do. She come to Shabbat. So she come to Shabbat. I want to hear what she has to say. So they came for Shabbat, and the girl, at the first opportunity, that's it. It's like opening up, the radio or something. And she just started talking about, being saved, and you have to do this, you don't be cursed, and he is the way, and he's the answer, and he's this. And she's talking and talking and talking and talking, and he let her talk until about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And he said, listen, I am tired, but I would like to talk to you more in the middle of the week, which you say is very interesting. Oh, she said, yes. So she came over on another day, and they said, maybe tomorrow. She came 3-4 days in a row, she came, and she talked to him for 5 hours, repeating the same thing, basically over and over and over again. And he just asked questions. He didn't try to interrupt, say, but maybe have you thought about this? And he just listened. And after a few days of this, he said to her, listen, very interesting what you got to say. What to say. But let me just, are you willing to just listen for 5 minutes? What I have to say, which was very interesting, and it's very convincing what you said. And, and you told me things I never knew before, which is a lie. I never knew before. But now I'd like to, so he starts, and she said, okay. So he says, and then maybe you can figure out, what's wrong with me, and you can convince me about these. And he starts talking to her about Judaism. Of course, she knows nothing about Judaism. She knows nothing about it. And so he tells her, listen, you're a Jew, and Moses and the Jewish people have suffered, and they've done it only for the commandments, and we're not looking for any rewards, and and the sentence that you said, that's not exactly the explanation of all the commentaries. In fact, all the sentences you said are against all the commentaries. Whoever told you this is ignoring all the commentaries. Anyway, so he's talking to her, and finally, in the end, she says, well, this guy that we're, and he said, he says to her, and that what you said, that he raised the dead and that he did this, he says, we also have a rabbi that could do that. She said, really, you do? He said, yeah. And he showed her a picture of the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe. He told her a couple of stories. She said, really, that's really true? And so he said, yes, it's true, that he can do amazing miracles. And there's people that have actually died and he's brought them back to life. There's a couple of stories that. And so he said, well, can he make my father see again? My father is blind. Can you make him see again? So Rabbi Kalman said, listen, I'm not the Rebbe and I can't guarantee, but I know there are stories, definitely stories that people that were blind, that he gave them a blessing and that they became well again, or that they made impossible operations and the operation succeeded. And who it could be, the Rebbe is not like how do you say, an ATM machine. It's, automatic blessings. But, we can try. He said, okay. So he wrote a letter to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said that there should be a healing very quickly. So she said, oh, good. This is good. The Rebbe said it. So they went to the doctor. They went to the doctor, the family doctor, and they said, have you got a cure for my father? He said, listen, you've been here before. I told you that your father's condition, there's no cure for it. He said, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that there is. Who is this? Lubavitcher Rebbe. He said, well, he's a professor. He has a medical training. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what it says in the book, in the Bible. I'm telling you, this man is not going to see. I don't want to make you feel bad, but he's not going to be able to see anymore. And he got very angry. We're talking about these religious things, and we're talking about science, pure science. And then, you want to get cured, go to Elijah the prophet or something like that. He's going to maybe. They said, okay. A couple days later, the doctor calls them back and says, listen, I read in a journal that there happens to be a doctor in, some other city. This is in Cincinnati, so a doctor went to Chicago. And I read that he's developed an operation, an operation that can fix up exactly what your father has. That's what it says. And it says that he's operated and he's had success. Not 100% success, but it's more than what I thought. I thought that there was no healing whatsoever. And here there's a doctor that has. Maybe call him up and see what. So they called him up and they went down there and they had a checkup. The doctor checked them up and he said that I think there's a possibility that it could work. It'll be an operation of about 5 hours, but I think it could. So they went into the operation, and after they wheeled the father in, and after like a half an hour or whatever. It takes time just to put him in anesthetic, and they have a half an hour. So the doctor came rushing out, and the family was sitting there, the daughter and the mother. They were sitting there. What happened? The doctor said, I don't know what happened, but it seems that it worked. I don't know what happened, but we're gonna sew all the thing up, whatever he's doing. And we'll see if it worked or not. But the operation is finished. They said, okay. And so they took him out. They had bandages over his eyes. And it took him a couple days. And finally, they took off the bandages. He said, I can see. He started screaming, I can see. And the operation worked. So she went back to Rabbi Kalmanson, and she told him the whole story. What happened. It could be that Rabbi Kalmanson went with him. I don't remember if that was part of the story. But in any case, Rabbi Kalmanson heard about it. And the girl realized that in addition to all the fact that she'd been fooled and that all the sentences were false, but there's also a person that can do miracles now. But he assured her that doing miracles is not one of the criteria for Mashiach, but it doesn't hurt, that's for sure. And so it's a genuine story of a miracle that the Rebbe did, and in order to save two types of blindness, spiritual blindness and physical blindness. And after that, the whole family, that they were not religious, he started to put on tefillin and put mezuzahs on his door, etc. So it will be to all of us that we will all be cured from our ignorance and our blindness and be connected to the true creator and who see, what do you say, Rofe kol basarim mafli la'asot, that God heals all flesh and does big miracles right now with the Mashiach. Now have a good Shabbos, everybody, and God bless you all. 8:15 Sunday morning, we're meeting again.
Good.